Today in the battle arena, well, we've got Wolverine, the ultimate killer, the living weapon, going up against the killer from Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy Krueger. So who's come out on top here? Well, let's find out. A long-lived mutant with the rage of a beast and the soul of a samurai, James Logan Hallett's past is filled with blood, war, and betrayal. Possessing so the healing factor, enhanced senses, and bone claws in his hands that, along with his skeleton, are coated in adamantium, Wolverine is the ultimate weapon. Logan possesses superhuman strength, as he's been able to swing tree trunks around like baseball bats, held an elevator with just one hand. He's even punched into solid steel before. Wolverine is also incredibly agile, possesses enhanced reflexes and speed, being able to dodge point-blank bullets, machine gun fire. He's even attacked faster than the human eye can follow. He's got incredible senses, many times better than a human, can even surpass most animals. He can see in complete darkness, hear over incredible distances, taste pheromones in the air, fight blindfolded by just hearing, and is the best tracker in the Marvel Universe. He's also incredibly durable, thanks in large part to his adamantium skeleton and his healing factor, and has allowed him to withstand punches from Hulk, Thor, Thing, and Wonder Man. And let's just talk about Logan's healing factor for a second here. This mutant ability allows him to heal from virtually any injury at an incredibly fast rate. And I do mean any injury. He's regrown missing limbs, organs, and has even regenerated it from just a skeleton before. But not only that, but his healing factor also prevents nerve strikes from working effectively, because his healing bypasses the effect virtually instantaneously. Wolverine possesses 3-foot-long claws on each hand, which are coated in adamantium, and can slice through anything, even harming Hulk, Thor, and Thanos. Logan has been trained in a variety of different martial arts, mastering 28 different forms of Kung Fu alone. He's one of the greatest fighters in the Marvel Universe. He's taken down Iron Fist, Shang-Chi, and Deadpool, and even helped to train Black Widow and Kitty Pryde. On top of that, Logan has been gifted with an incredible strategic and tactical mind. He's even been compared to a highly advanced computer. So, that's what we got in one corner. The man who's the best at what he does, Wolverine. But entering the ring in the other corner was none other than the killer who haunts your dreams, Freddy Krueger. In life, Freddy Krueger was a sadistic monster of a man who tortured and killed children. Getting out of court on a technicality, he was killed by the parents of his former victims and burnt alive. However, he survived as a spirit and made a deal with the dream demons. In exchange for power, he would kill the living in their dreams, and the dream demons would channel their souls. And his first victims would be those who survived his rampages in the past. Freddy can enter the dreams of anyone on Elm Street in Springwood, provided that there's enough fear of him. Whatever injuries he inflicts on them in the dream world will cross over into the real world. This is how he kills his victims. He usually uses his clawed glove to attack and kill his victims, but often manipulates the dream world around him, and he usually does it in order to prey upon the person's fears or even their hopes and dreams. For example, he turns Debbie, who hates bugs, into a cockroach, then crushes her. He injects Taryn, who has a history of abusing drugs, with heroin, and smashes Jennifer's face against the TV when Jennifer wanted to be an actress and appear on TV. He can't be killed while he's in the dream world, and in the dream world he has displayed actually quite a few powers, including the ability to regenerate lost body parts, shapeshift. He's even got telekinetic powers. Even when he is pulled out of the dream world and into the real world, he has enhanced physical abilities. He's quite adept with his metal claws, and can withstand an incredible amount of damage. He's fought against Jason Voorhees before. He's fought against Ash Williams before. And Freddy's even been cut up by Ash's chainsaw. and just fine, despite being shot by a tank shell. So who wins? Well, let's break it down. So in honor of Halloween, we'll look at one of the most lethal heroes out there, Wolverine, going up against the master of nightmares, Freddy Krueger. So who's coming out on top here? Well, let's find out. Now, first things first, there are two ways we can approach this fight. One is in the real world, the other is in the dream world. And Wolverine is definitely winning this fight in the real world. He's vastly stronger than the average man, being able to overpower several men and try to dogpile them and send them flying backwards. He's crumpled up metal doors, caught and held an elevator before, repeatedly thrown opponents hard enough to bend or break metal bars. He's even managed to throw Colossus and Dragon Man, who weigh several tons. He's also able to snap thick chains made out of the hardest steel that money can buy. And when Wolverine was hit dead on by a speeding truck, well, he didn't budge and brought that truck to a dead halt. He's able to easily evade gunfire when he wants to. He's able to move as a blur and strike faster than his opponents can register. When a speedster attacked Alpha Flight, Logan was the only one fast enough to see him and fight against him. He's able to keep pace with Spider-Man. He's able to dodge attacks from a Venom, has tagged speedsters like Speed Demon, and is fast enough to dodge automatic gunfire even while running straight towards the shooter. Spider-Man has also commented on Wolverine's speed, saying that Wolverine moved so fast he could barely notice what happened. He's wondered if Logan was actually faster than him. Then Scarlet Spider commented on how fast he is, that he moves like a ninja, that he can't even be touched. Only problem is, Wolverine doesn't really use his speed too much in order to dodge attacks, and it relies more on his durability and healing factor in order to hold him out. Sometimes he takes attacks not just because he doesn't need to avoid them, but because he doesn't want to avoid them. He's using those hits to pump himself up and really get into the fighting mood. And Wolverine has just got a massive edge of his adamantium bones and his healing factor. He really does. He's able to take punches from the best of the best in the Marvel Universe, including people like Thing, Thor, and Hulk. He's able to take all sorts of gunfire. He's able to fight through all sorts of knife and sword attacks, actually beat his enemy even after having his heart ripped out. And another time, he's had his heart burst in his chest, yet was back on his feet a few moments later. He survived a nuclear explosion on more than one occasion. He's taken a gun that was able to disintegrate people, and one time fought against the X-Men who were hypnotized to attack him. Yet Logan took all their attacks, actually able to keep on fighting through the night until the morning. He's even been kicked halfway around the world, from the United States all the way to Georgia, the Georgia next to Russia, and got right back up, was more pissed off than injured. Not that Freddy isn't physically impressive. He's fought against Jason Voorhees before, kept up with Jason and taken attacks from him, actually even been shot with a tank shell and survived. But there's just no way that Wolverine doesn't win that fight. If Jason can win with his machete, Wolverine can win with his greater durability, his greater speed, his greater skill, and his adamantium claws. However, what about in the dream world? Well, that right there is a completely different story. Because in the dream world, Freddy is essentially a god, as he can control each and every aspect. And the thing is, anything he does to his victims is reflected on his victim's body in the real world. He's reverted Jason into a child. He can create and control animals, can erase the memories of others, can absorb souls, can trap people in time loops, and can shapeshift into anything he wants. He can manipulate minds, manipulate reality. He's created the Dream Core, which is a labyrinth with impossible geometry made out of parts of the dream world, and he can even transmute his victims, turning Debbie into a cockroach, transforming Mark into a paper cutout of himself. In Freddy vs. Jason, while in the dream world, Freddy tapped into Jason's childhood fear of drowning. And so in the real world, Jason's lungs started to magically fill with water. And Jason arguably has just as great a healing factor as Wolverine. Perhaps Freddy would discover that Logan has a fear of mortality, specifically a fear of disease, old age, and physical depletion. I mean, he's never had to worry about such things. He's completely unfamiliar with them. Maybe Freddy would discover that somewhere in the back of Logan's mind is this hint of a fear of mortality. And that would be all he needed to craft a nightmare filled with pestilence and death. And if such a nightmare took hold in the real world, Wolverine's body would presumably start wasting away. All the damage and toil that he's been through would start to show. And Wolverine could presumably die. That's one way that Freddy could take him out. But there are a few final things we need to talk about here. And they all deal around Freddy and his inconsistency. Because frankly, with all the different variations that we've seen throughout the years, Freddy is kinda all over the place. Early on, Freddy didn't need you to be afraid of him. He could murder you no matter what. However, other times, he needs you to be afraid of him in order to even injure you, much less kill you. If that's the case, good luck going up against Wolverine. He's not scared of much, if anything. He's seen a whole lot scarier stuff than someone like Freddy Krueger, and there's a very fine line for Wolverine between fear and rage. He might be afraid for a moment, but that'll quickly cross over to rage, and you don't want to mess with that. Second thing, the best I can understand it, my take on it is that in the dream world, Freddy kills you by making you believe you're dead. It's all in your head. But if you believe it's really happening to you, well, it really will happen to you in real life. The teenagers that Freddy torments know that they'll die if they're impaled, burned, whatever. And so when this happens to them in the dream world, they almost trick themselves into believing it actually happened, and so they die. Wolverine knows that if these things happen to him, well, he's going to survive no problem. And in the real world, we know that he can heal from all these injuries. So even if Freddy injures him in the dream world, Wolverine might not be injured or killed in the real world because of the idea that Wolverine won't actually believe that he's injured, thus not transferring the injury into the real world. That makes sense? Finally, Wolverine's dream world isn't necessarily gonna be pleasant for Freddy. Logan has formidable psychic defenses and training. Even just got some innate defense because of his strong will and feral nature. He's resisted Emma Frost's mind control. Quentin Quire telepathically took control of his mind, and Wolverine's body goes feral in order to hunt Quire down. And a telepath entered Wolverine's mind, and his berserker psyche kicks in, acts as a defense mechanism, and kills the guy. So to summarize, Wolverine has a strong resistance to telepathy and mental attacks. His healing factor is going to ensure that nothing Freddy does to him will hurt him in any real way. Wolverine won't be afraid of Freddy, as he's encountered far scarier things than him in the past, and Freddy even had problems fighting Jason Voorhees in the dream world. And Jason is nowhere near as dangerous as Wolverine. Freddy might be a god in this world, but I don't think he can actually kill Wolverine in the dream world. And this gives Logan the time and opportunity to do what plenty of teenagers have done in the past. Drag Freddy into the real world. And in the real world, well, like we said, Wolverine is definitely gonna win. Might not necessarily kill Freddy, because Freddy's already undead, and so I guess that means he's technically unkillable, but I definitely think Wolverine can still beat him. Show him how to really use those claws. Just slice him up like nobody's business. So believe it or not, I actually think Wolverine is coming out on top here. Wolverine wins. But what do y'all think? I would love to hear your thoughts. Sound off in the comments down below. Also be sure the like button, subscribe button, and turn on notifications from the DanCo army. And I will see y'all next time.